Now, let's learn more about other components. I believe that when you do the team project, you need more components. For example, we are going to learn about checkbox and radio box. Now, let's consider a new example. I'm going to make simple font.py. So the objective is it is a GUI to change the font according to the user input. So the step will be the same. The first, we will create the window panel, and then second, we are going to make the user interface, and then third, we are going to convert the user interface into PY, and then fourth, we are going to add the main function. Now let's open the Qt designer. Let's make the file name simpleFont.ui. And then in the Qt designer, I would like to use the dialog with buttons button. So the button will be below. And let's create the form with the details in the page as later on. Okay, let's see. I'm going to create a new design. Let me just close this one. Okay, let me close this and then let me make a new Qt designer. So I can go to the external tools, Qt designer, and this is a new form. So let's create a dialog with buttons button. So this is the new dialog with buttons button. Now, the file name will be simpleFont.ui. If you look at this one, it becomes complex. Okay. So I have this kind of design. I will put the name here. And then, I will have bold, italic, red, blue. So if I click bold, the result will show the font in bold. If I click italic, then it will show the result in italic. If I click red, then the color will change to red. If I click blue, the color becomes blue. Okay. So I need to prepare this component. Let's see. We have label, line edit, checkbox, radio box, label, line edit, and button. Okay. So whenever you do with your user interface, please set up this first. Okay. As you know, if you already have the code, for example, you already have the greetings.ui, and then you already create the greetings.py, and then you set up the main function. You make any statement in the .py, and then suddenly you think that the user interface should be modified. Let's say I want to modify this one. Okay, let me close and then let me open it. Now I want to open the greetings.ui, and let's say, oh, I forgot to make another button. So I make another button here. And then I save this one. And then if I want to update, what should I do? I will do again the conversion. So the conversion will be this one. I will call again Python -m Python pyqt5.uic.pyuic greetings.ui greetings.py. Okay. Then if I execute this one, what happened? All the files that you already modify in the .py will be deleted. Okay. So please be careful with this one. If you want to modify the user interface, you can modify in the code. If you modify the user interface in the Qt designer, you will make the code becomes empty. Okay, so please be careful with this one. In this case, you need to start again to write the code because all the codes has been deleted. Okay, if you run again, then nothing. Okay, because you refresh with the new user interface. That's why please be careful. Okay, because you can do something like this. And last year, yeah, there are some teams who make like this one. They already make almost complete, but they update very simple user interface. And then every code has been deleted. And yeah, okay, be careful. That's why when you design the user interface, please make sure that you have a complete user interface at the first time. Or if you want to improve again, then you need to code in Python. Now let's look at this one. Let's make I will make it a little bit quick. So you already know the widget, object name, and text. So I will like to call the label. So the label here, the object name will be label name. So the object name will be label name, and then the text will be name. So I will change the text become name. And then I will have line edit. So I can call line edit. So you will create this line edit here. And then we have the object name is line name. The object name is line name. And then I have checkbox. What is checkbox? So you can find here checkbox. So you can click and move. The object name is C box full. Okay. Please change the object name C box full. And then the text will be full. Text will be full. Then you can see the text now becomes full. There's another checkbox. The checkbox. And then the properties name will be C with box italic. And then the text is italic. I have another widget which is radio box. So you can call radio box, or we call it this is radio button. You can put the radio button here, and then the property name is R box red. Okay, R box red, and the text will be red. Now you can see it is red. And then there's another radio box. The radio box, now it is for the blue color. So the properties, the object name will be R box blue, and the text will be blue. And then the last one will be the label. The label, okay, you can find again label. Oh, this is not the last one, sorry. So you have the label, and then the label properties, the object name will be label result. And then the text is result. And then we have the line edit. We will have line edit. You can put the line edit here, and the property name is line result. So the line result is to show the result. I put more information here for the widget number 8. For the widget number 8, let's disable it from any changes. It means, if you can see here, line result, you can see enable. Okay. The enable is checked. It means you can modify any text. But if you uncheck this one, so if it is unchecked, then you cannot modify. So the text will be only read only, or you can only see, you can only read it, you cannot change. Okay, so that's the meaning by enable. Then you can see now that line edit becomes green because you cannot modify it. If you click this one again, if you click this, now it becomes white. If you click again, then it becomes green. Okay. And the last one, the button. Okay. So you can click the button. The button object name, I mentioned btn OK cancel. btn OK cancel. So the text, it is by default, they mention the Wagin and Trisu. So, okay, I will just keep this as it is. Okay. So after you have this user interface, yeah, if you already have this one, now let's go to the next. You are going to modify the user interface from .ui to Python file. Then you will save it. Now let's make this one as simple font.ui. So you can go to Python. Now you will see the simple font.ui. After you have the simple font.ui, we need to create the simple font.py. In order to create the simple font.py, as I mentioned to you before, there are two alternatives. So you can use the terminal, or you can use the external tool function. If you use the external tool, you need to modify the argument. Let me just use the terminal. Okay. Now I would like to use the previous statement, but I just changed the file name. The file name is simple font.ui. So that's why if you keep this statement, yeah, you can use the statement again, and then you can just modify the file name. The file name is simple font.ui, and then you want to make it as a Python file with the name simpleFont.py. If you press enter, you will have simpleFont.py. So now the code becomes longer. Okay. That's why when you make the user interface for your team project, please be careful. When you have more, then of course it will be more complex. Okay. Oops, maybe something wrong. I use the radio button 2 and radio button. At the first, I use RBox, right? I use the RBox blue. Okay, let's see. I think this will be a good example. So we have the line name, okay, we have the label name, and we have the checkbox bold, checkbox italic. We have the radio button, but when I make the definition was R box red and R box blue. But in the code, I put this one as the R radio button and radio button 2. So let's see later. Now, the same as the previous example, you need to make the main function. Okay. So I prepare this main function, but later on, when you do with your team project, you need to modify this one according to your project. Okay, so here is the main window. I think this is the same for the constructor and for the user dialog, and for the setup it is the same. Okay. But later on there will be something different that you should modify according to your project. So let's just copy using this one, and then let's put it below. Now you can see there is an error. UI dialog. What is this error? It mentioned that unresolved reference UI dialog. It means that this statement has no reference, or there is no definition about this statement. If you look at the previous, oh, this is not the, sorry, this one, sorry. I think I used the greetings.py, so that's why it's error. It should be in the simple font. Okay, it should be in the simple font.py. But yeah, later on you will get those kind of errors. For example, here is the user interface dialog. It is based on the class name, user interface dialog. If you have the same name, then it is no problem. But if you use different name, then it might be errors. Now you can start to run it. Okay, you can run. Main window object has no attribute accept. Okay, let's this one. I think I will close this. There is no accept. Let me check first more. So based on the definition, on the based on this explanation, the main window, okay, at the previous part, I use the main window and I use the Q main window. So the Q main window, it mentioned that there is no information about the dialog with buttons. So I need to use the Q dialog. Okay. So in that case, I call the import. I import the Q dialog, and then I change the parameter here as Q dialog. So when I change this to Q dialog, previously it was Q main window. Okay. So when I change to Q dialog, then there is no problem. Okay. So you can see like this one. So please, if you follow my step, then please put the Q dialog and then change this into Q dialog. So the next step is the next step. We want to do something whenever there are some changes. Okay. Now let's look at the setup. What does it mean by setup? Setup UI means you will set up all the components. So if you make the line edit, you will set up the line edit. If you set up the button, they will prepare the button. If you set up the checkbox, they will set up the checkbox, and etc. That's why you will see here the setup. The setup will create any component. For example, it creates the button OK cancel. It creates the label name. It creates the line name. It creates the checkbox pull and so on. And they make the definition based on the location and the size. Now I would like to make another setup. What is another setup? So for example, if I run this, if I click bold, if I click italic, okay, no problem. If I click red and I click blue, so I want to know which one will be the choice. So I need to select only one of them, and then I want to make them as a one group. So I want to make that in the setup UI. So this is the additional code in the setup UI. When you copy and paste from the PowerPoint, please make sure that this is at the same line. Because if it is not at the same line, then it will be errors. So I will make them in the same line of the setup UI. So the button group means the radio button box red and the radio button box blue will be in the same group. So if I click the red, then it means only red. If I click blue, then it is only blue. But the text cannot be red and blue. So they need to choose only one. So I will create as a group. So this group, because it is based on the user interface, you can just import it. So this is the Q button group from the PyQt5. You will make new, yeah, if you make the import, it will be fine. Okay, so you can see now I import the Q button group. So this group will have no errors. And then next, when I click OK, please go to the update label function. So where is the update label function? So let's make it from the code that I have. So I mentioned here one, there will be an error about the Q button group. So you need to import the relevant library and ensure the indentation is the same in the setup UI function. Okay, so this indentation should be the same with the setup UI. And then next, in the most bottom UI dialog, so you can write this code. Let's see. So it is a function. So I will make a new function. Oh, this one is not this. So in the below of the UI dialog. So this is the UI dialog class. And then I would like to create a new function, update label. It means it is a function that you will execute when we click OK. When you click OK, you will run this one. What is it? Now, I would like to check the text of the line name. What is it? Line name. Line name is this one, the text edit. So whenever you type, then it will be saved into the variable text01. And then we are going to show it into the line result. What is line result? Line result is here, the bottom part. It will be shown here. So when you click OK, everything that you type here, it will be shown in this location. Now, you can see the next component is empty. So if I want to make the font as a red color, so if the red box red is checked, then it means if I check the red box, then the color becomes red. If I check the red box blue, then the color becomes blue. If I check the checkbox bold, so if it is checked, then it will be bold. And if I check the italic, then it will be italic. So this is the statement that I put. If bold true and italic true, what does it mean? Bold true, it means if the checkbox bold is checked, and if the checkbox italic is checked, then let's make the component equals to font, bold, and italic. So the font will be bold and italic. If not, so if the component is only bold true, then make the component only bold. If the component is only italic true, then let's make the component as only italic. So every component will be combined. So what are the components? The components include the color red and the font. And the component will be here as the style sheet of the line result. Now, let's see. I have the word have jogging, for example. Now, if I click OK, oh, why there are so many errors? This is cancelled. Okay. Why errors?